Hello everyone, this is Giovanni, BackYard Flick Reviews, and this is part 2 of the MCU ranking video. The giveaway for this video is going to be an Avengers Infinity War poster, so make sure you follow the instructions on the description of the video. Must be within the US, and a subscriber to my YouTube channel, BackYard Pictures. So with that being said, let's get started with the, let's continue the list. So my number 11 is Thor: The Dark World. Now, a lot of people really hate this movie, and that movie was really at the bottom of your list.
Yeah.
I didn't hate it. There was a lot of parts of it that I really did like. I like the whole Loki and Thor team up. You can see more of Loki's emotional, elements or whatever. You can see that he is also human. He's not just like an evil bad guy villain. You can see more, like a little bit more good in him. So you start to like him more. I think that's where things turn around, with Loki becoming like a good villain, or like probably the best villain in the MCU before Avengers Infinity War. We'll see how that is with Thanos. But I think that's what turned everything around with Loki.
Yeah, he became the anti-hero.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So he becomes that, and that's the first time we saw that. And I like the villain more in this film than in the first one. Like I said, most people didn't really like the second one. So I thought it was fine. It was better than the other ones ones on my list. But what's your number 11?
My number 11 is Thor, and the reason why it's a lot higher than you have it. What do you have it on?
I have it at number 16.
16, yeah. I have it at 11. I really liked it because it was such a big surprise to me. Like the direction I thought they were going to go with, like you said, you were disappointed that it wasn't as epic as you thought. Mm-hmm. To me, I was really surprised that his powers were stripped away and he was stuck in New Mexico. It was very interesting to me. The humor was surprising to me. Like before that, I think it was just basically Robert Downey Jr., right, being like the
comic relief.
Yeah. So I was really surprised with this movie. The action set pieces, they were good. So I was pleasantly surprised with it. So I liked it.
Yeah. So Hemsworth has actually some good comedic range.
Yeah, he does.
Like I saw that Ghostbusters movie, the all-female one, and he's in it. I mean, they make him seem like an idiot and like a dumbass, but his timing was pretty good in Ghostbusters. And in Thor, and that first one, he was a lot funnier than I even expected at all. Yeah. Like there's a part where it's like, "Oh, bring me my horse" and shit, and he's in New Mexico,
in a pet store,
or that like slams. He finishes drinking something. He slams the cup or the whatever. Is like more or some shit like that.
Yeah.
That stuff's cool.
Yeah, I had such low expectations for that movie, which is why I really liked it.
Yeah. All right, so moving on to number 10. So my number 10 is going to be AntMan. So that was your number, was it 12?
12, yeah.
Yeah, so your number 12. AntMan, that one I had like no expectations at all. Again, that's another character that I'm not too familiar with. Paul Rudd, I thought was kind of an odd choice. But again, I didn't know the character that much, so I wouldn't really know if it's a good fit or not. But I ended up liking it a lot more than I really thought. I liked the special effects. I liked the whole jokes of him being small, like tiny, and they used a lot of like ant like references and stuff like that I really liked. And it was a lot funnier than I thought. And it is more like a comedy. I know that the showrunner, or the one in charge of MCU, Kevin Feige, later on, like as of late, like the last maybe 5 years or so, he's been trying to like have more MCU films to have some other genre in it. Like that's why we got Captain America Winter Soldier, that's more like a spy thriller, and then we have Ant-Man, that's more like a comedy, and then Thor Ragnarok, that's a little mixture of comedy and like action and stuff like that.
Fantasy.
Yeah, so I mean that's kind of like an example is Ant-Man. It kind of goes out of its comic book genre and it becomes kind of like comedy too. And I like Michael Douglas in this film too. He was pretty cool in it. He's like a top-notch actor and all that stuff. And I was more interested in or wanting to learn more about Ant-Man, and I kind of like that I didn't know too much about Ant-Man because I kind of get to learn with this film. And now the next one that's coming out in July, Ant-Man and the Wasp. So I'm interested in seeing that.
And also his friend Pena, or what's that?
Oh yeah,
actor?
Michael Pena.
Michael Pena. Yeah, he's up there in all the MCU movies as one of my favorite comic relief characters.
Yeah, he was actually funnier than I thought. I think he's getting a little too typecast to be kind of like that Hispanic friend or whatever.
Yeah.
But that was the only thing I didn't like about how they used him in this.
Oh, okay.
But he was funny.
I liked it whenever he was telling the story of what him and his friend were doing. They were always doing like some high class thing, like wine tasting and stuff like that. I really like that joke.
Yeah, so it was funny. I mean, it was pretty cool.
So number 10 for me will be Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. It was really good. It just wasn't that much different from the first one. Drax was probably the weakest part of the movie. Yondu was the best part of the movie. But like you said earlier, Star-Lord's character, yeah, they probably focused on him way too much, especially because they started out in the beginning on Earth with like his mom, and yeah, it was a little bit too much on about his story.
Yeah.
But another good thing about it was Gamora, right? What's
Yeah.
her name? Yeah, Gamora and her sister. Like I like their relationship.
Yeah.
But besides that, after a while, I just felt I was feeling disappointed like while watching the movie. I think it ended very strong. The middle was probably the weakest part, especially when, like you said, Sylvester Stallone's character, when they got through like all that, and also Yondu's men turning on him. That was okay. I didn't really like it that much.
I did like the end though, like the send off of Yondu, like
Yeah.
Stallone and all the other people like sending him off, like respecting, paying the respects to the character and all that stuff. So I like that. That was pretty cool. So my next one, or the number 9 spot, is the Incredible Hulk. It was kind of towards the bottom of your list, but I really did like Incredible Hulk. The first one that came out, just the Hulk with Eric Bana, that left a really bad taste in my mouth in that movie. And that one came from like an Oscar-winning director and all that shit. And they used like little comic book frames, or like they made it seem like a comic book, which actually didn't work. But
that's true.
But this one I did like. I did like Edward Norton. I did wish he would have not have any issues with the producers, because they had some kind of like tiff or something. So he just got out of it. So I did like Edward Norton. I did like Liv Tyler. She was interesting there, and I like the general. I like Abomination. They used them effectively, I think, in this movie. And I would want to see him more, because I don't think he died. So I don't know. They might end up using him later or something. But the CGI, it just wasn't that good. It was better than the 2003 Hulk for sure, but it wasn't quite there yet in 2008. I think the Hulk is a lot better now. I think they can still improve, but it's definitely, that's when it starts to look a little better in 2008. And the story, I was more engaged in the story in Incredible Hulk than the first one for sure. So that was my number 9. So what's your number 9, man?
My number 9 is Doctor Strange. I don't have any problems with this movie except the ending. That part where he's just replaying that one scene. That was probably the only negative thing I have to say about that movie. I think it's one of the best origin stories. Because he starts out as a successful doctor, gets to that accident, and then you see him get his powers. It was really interesting. I really liked it. I like his powers. I do see him as I'm really excited to see him in Infinity War. So yeah, it was a good movie. I liked it a lot.
All right, so moving on to number 8. My number 8 spot is going to be Thor Ragnarok. One of the main things that I liked about Thor Ragnarok is that we got to see a battle between Thor and the Hulk, and that was a really good scene there. And I liked Hela. Cate Blanchett portrayed a really good villain, and we started to see a little bit more of a stronger villains in the MCU in the last maybe year or two. So Cate Blanchett was a good addition to the MCU and to Thor Ragnarok. They did add a lot more comedy in this film, like we talked about before. There was some comedic elements in the first Thor movie, so there's some aspects to Thor that are actually funny, and the director of Thor Ragnarok was able to use a lot more comical elements to the storyline, and I thought it actually worked. I liked Jeff Goldblum as the character in that film. I forgot the character's name again. Also, ultimately, it was an entertaining movie. There was a lot of stakes in this film, considering that it's actually or was funnier than other MCU films. There's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of dark stuff that happens in Thor Ragnarok, which was actually a good thing that the director was able to mix, you know, all these bad things that keep happening in that film, like the dad dying and Asgard being destroyed pretty much, and then no eye for Thor anymore, or at least one of them. But at the same time, they're trying to make it comedic and funny, and I think it worked overall. So that's why it's at my number 8. So what's your number 8 spot, Ivan?
Captain America: Winter Soldier. I like this movie a lot because, like you said, it's like the spy thriller. It reminded me a lot of Jason Bourne. The action, the espionage. It was really good. I liked it a lot. And Winter Soldier was surprisingly a good villain.
Bucky.
Bucky.
All right. So moving on to number 7. So my number 7 is Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. We got to see Star-Lord for the first time. We saw the rest of the Guardians of the Galaxy, Rocket the Raccoon. Then we got Drax, right? Drax. Surprisingly, he was actually pretty good. He was pretty funny. Like you mentioned before with Volume 2, that they overdid it in the second one. I like the music of the soundtrack from the first Guardians of the Galaxy. The second one had some cool songs there, but the first one was a lot better than that. And that's just the first time that we introduced this group that is not really, is not so, you know, common. Is not they're not really known that much. Like, I didn't know too much about Guardians of the Galaxy, but the fact that they were actually able to get everyone on board with these characters right away, and it was just funny. Chris Pratt is definitely a star now because of that, and he was definitely able to portray this character in a way that you're gonna like him. At the same time, he's also cool looking. He's a hero, and he's just one of the top MCU characters now. And just before the movie came out, very few people even know about it. So that's why I thought that this movie did a lot for this franchise and this particular comic book. So what is your number 7?
Spider-Man: Homecoming. It was good. Vulture was probably my favorite part of the movie. Michael Keaton was really good. I like that he was arrested at the end of the movie. You know, like, he wasn't defeated. He really didn't want to kill Spider-Man, Peter Parker. It was really good. I liked it. And his friend, I liked him a lot. Only thing I didn't really like about it was who he was fighting. Like, I did not like their energy beam weapons, stuff like that. That's the only negative thing I have about that movie. And yeah, that's it.